Oh my gosh. Ooh. I'm speechless. I had to actually, I know you guys wanted me to probably make a video last night because, it was so fresh. But I legit needed to go to sleep after watching that nail biter of a governor's race and our Senate race and all the other races. It was just, there was so much going on. And honestly, I had a headache. I didn't get off work till like 8 o'clock, just in time for the ballots to start getting counted. But did we dodge a bullet or what? I tell you what, man, like, this better be a wake-up call to everyone in Florida that socialism is not a far-fetched idea. If someone can get that close to governing a low-tax state like Florida, what does that say about places that are going to be way more open to it, like in Illinois or something? I mean, California is already basically there. They're basically a socialist state, and we were that close. So it's just kind of crazy that somehow all those prayers I sent up to God, he answered the bell. Because so it looks like we just had some service interruption there. YouTube is not always my friend. You guys are, but not YouTube. Anyway, so yeah, last night was absolutely insane. I actually don't want to go through that again. When that race was, it had no business being that close. So let me kind of go through some of the notes that I took, because I took a few notes. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. There's just so much to cover. And, there's thousands of channels that are going to cover the midterms in its entirety. So I'm just going to kind of focus on, because that was the most watched state. And I believe it was the only race with a legitimate upset. Like, DeSantis was not favored to win. Thank God those polls were wrong. 2016 repeat. I love it. But, I went to Twitter first. So Twitter is the first place that I went, just because to do like a temperature check. Like, how are people really feeling about this? Are people across the state freaked out? Are they confident? Do they feel good about Gillum? Are people at the polls? I just kind of wanted to fact find. And what I found was the people supporting Gillum were angry from the beginning. I mean, something like 11% of the vote had been counted. And you had people on Twitter calling it racist. The polls are rigged. I saw some people sharing an article. I saw it shared a few times. I'm like, that's probably bogus. But then more people were sharing it. And it was an article talking about how one of the polls somewhere in the state, I don't know where, was located in a gated community. And they were complaining about that. Like, oh, they're on purpose and yada, yada, yada. It's like, come on. You knew the elections were coming up for how many months? And I'm still dehydrated from yesterday, guys. It was a long day. But these people were talking about, the polls are rigged. Why are they putting them in a gated community? They don't want us voting. You knew ahead of time you were going to vote. See, this is the difference between like having personal responsibility and relying on someone else to get you what you need. Because if it were me and I thought the polls were rigged or shady, I would have called like 3 days in advance. First of all, I would have done early voting. I wouldn't have voted on the last day, let alone complain about it. But I would have called ahead, like, what do you guys need? Do you need me to bring a water bill? Do I need my driver's license? Do I bring a passport? Do you want to see a picture of me and my family? Do you want to see a picture of my house, my address, what? But people were complaining about that on Twitter. And, you had some people, and these weren't just like fringe people. Most of the people supporting Andrew Gillum legitimately think that the only way he could have lost the election is if it were rigged against him or if it were racism. So the fact they say it's rigged against him, how is it rigged? I'm pretty sure, if anything, it'd be rigged in his favor. We all know, we've all heard about Dianne Feinstein and Soros buying up machines, voting machines. They also said, oh yeah, some of the I forget what they call them, the precincts. Yeah, some of the precincts in Broward County weren't scanning and yada yada yada. I'm like, they didn't report that until well after it was pretty much decided, to try to shift the narrative to make it seem like, oh, Andrew Gillum was cheated out of this election. He didn't actually lose it. He was cheated out of it. In reality, he had bad policies. His policies sucked. It baffles me to this very moment how he made it this far. How the hell did this guy with these Stalin-like policies make it this far in this election in this state? If he were in California, I'd be like, this is fine. Massachusetts, anywhere where it's a liberal stronghold, and they're already far to the left. Washington State, Oregon, he would be governor of that state. But the fact that he made it this far, that's alarming. That should be alarming to anyone, regardless of party affiliation. But they called it, like, there were people saying it's racist. I saw a lot of, this is what's funny. They're saying Andrew Gillum lost because of racism, yet they were being racist in their tweets, saying like redneck state and Florida still hasn't gotten it right. These are the kind of people that support a candidate like that. I hate to generalize, but it's kind of true, because some of these were like blue checkmark accounts. They're like, wow, Florida, way to screw it up. Way to live in the past, Florida. I'm like, these people have the memory of a goldfish, because it took Florida to pass to actually elect the first black president. If I'm not mistaken, Obama won Florida not once, but twice. So how is it that now that Florida didn't elect Gillum, now all of a sudden Florida's racist and full of rednecks and white supremacists and all of that nonsense? See, this is why I feel like this is my calling, to kind of debunk and challenge those narratives head on, because I get so fed up with it. And it's not even just the candidates. It is their constituents. It's the people that they're supporting, the people they represent, that believe there's a system rigged against a skin color. It is false. It's false. If you want to talk about race with this election, how come Beto O'Rourke lost? O'Rourke, what his name is? Beto O'Rourke lost. I still can't say his name right. Beta, whatever. He lost, okay? Was that racism? Or was he running on a radical, socialist, leftist agenda? Was he running on that in a conservative Republican state? That's why he lost. Stacey Abrams, she was talking about gun control. You can't say gun and control in the same sentence in the South. If you say it in Seattle, they might applaud you. You go to San Francisco, like, there's no guns left to ban. Only the criminals have them. But down here, you got a lot of law-abiding NRA members that support the Second Amendment, and they don't want to be tread on. They don't want their rights infringed upon. Shall not be infringed. And if you're going to run on these radical policies like Medicare for all, everyone gets a house, we're going to raise the minimum wage to $15, and we're going to have open borders. I'm like, okay. And we're going to raise the corporate tax, and we're going to make sure that the wealthy are paying their fair share. Oh, and we're going to probably implement a state income tax, even though we're not going to say that. I'm like, you don't need to be an Ivy League economist to know that none of that works. So for them to try to say, oh, well, he lost because of his skin color. Well, Beto O'Rourke lost. And then you also have to think about this, okay? South Carolina elected Tim Scott. I believe he's a senator in South Carolina. Black guy. He won in South Carolina. I thought South Carolina's racist. They'll never let the black man be, in a position of power. People vote their values. People vote their values. At least in the South, at least Republicans, conservatives vote their values, because they voted for him, Tim Scott, over a white Democrat. And I'm pretty sure if Andrew Gillum ran as a Republican, let's say the roles were reversed, okay? Let's say Ron DeSantis was the radical socialist running for governor, and Gillum was the Trump-backed, well-spoken, articulate, clean-cut black guy. He would crush DeSantis in Florida. I'm talking crush him. You would have every single conservative in the state voting for this guy. Like, and he's a Republican. It's like a Republican Obama, well-spoken guy, smart. You know, let's pretend like he wasn't corrupt and all the other all the stuff we found out about him. But what I'm saying is, like, if DeSantis were like legitimate Democrat and, you know, Gillum were running as a Republican and he was backed by President Trump and he was running on like that pro-Trump agenda, lowering taxes, slashing regulations, you know, fixing like the educational system, getting vocation in place so people can, you know, actually get out of high school and like train for a job that's going to pay them well, so they don't have to be forced into college. God, I wish I was around before I went to college. Side note. You know, Andrew Gillum would win, hands down. Now, look at Michigan. John James was completely ignored in Michigan. They acted as if he weren't even running. So for Van Jones to go on CNN and say, like, you know, I thought the antibodies would kick in for this virus of, you know, division that we have. They're always using those fancy words on CNN, you know, just while they're trying to divide us further and try to make it seem like everything's about race. That's why him and Stacey Abrams lost. It wasn't because they were running on socialist policies in highly contested red parts of the country. It's because their skin was black. That's why they lost. Get out of here. Give me a break. Also, guys, how awesome is it to watch Soros money flush down the drain? How much money did Soros dump into this candidate? How many celebrity endorsements did this guy get? Obama came down here. Joe Biden came down here. Hillary came down here. And it backfired. In the celebrity endorsements, it proved to be the kiss of death, because you see, what's the guy's name? And I forget the guy's name in Tennessee. He lost after Taylor Swift endorsed him. I mean, he's probably going to lose anyway. Tennessee's super Republican. But Beto O'Rourke, they elevated this dude and gave him like superstar status. They were treating him like he was already the governor of Texas. They were treating him like he lived in LA, like some Hollywood celebrity. And look what happened. Ted Cruz kicked his ass. Somebody else too. Oh, Abrams and Gillum. So those four, they got a taste of what it's like to be endorsed by celebrities, and, you know, I got all this fandom and all that, but then you lose because you can't win on policy. And I noticed this. This was probably the most striking thing for me watching the midterms, watching it all unfold, you know, the campaigns. They are strikingly similar, Andrew Gillum to Obama, in terms of how he ran and how Democrats run. It makes sense why they get the youth vote. They get the youth vote because they appeal to emotion. You know, they go to these college campuses, and I remember being a college student and Obama came to my campus, and it was so much fun. He got the crowd all hyped up. You know, he rolled his sleeves up. He just acted like he was your best buddy. But I don't remember him talking about a single policy. They just kind of paint it with a broad brush. They just kind of say, like, we're going to make sure the Republicans pay their fair share. You're going to get this, you're going to get that. But they don't talk about taxes going up. They don't talk about how it's going to affect your personal choices. Are you going to have more or less freedom? They never talk about that. They never talk about the details of their policy. They just whip you up in emotion, and then they smear their opponents. So depending on if you're a man or a woman, if you're black or white, whatever your makeup is, whatever your identity politic that you're clinging to is, you get to smear your opponent as a phobic of them. Phobia, whatever. They're afraid of you. So, you know, for a woman, Stacey Abrams, I'm pretty sure she used the race card and the woman card. Like, yeah, he's a sexist and a racist. DeSantis is a racist, of course, because he's going against a black guy. Mind you, if he said, monkey this up about anyone else, nobody would say a word about it. You know, so that's why they lose. That's why they lose, because they don't have any policy answers that make sense. Nobody wants to pay higher taxes. And if people want to pay higher taxes, guess what? You can voluntarily give more money to the IRS. Why do I need to pay taxes? Because of your utopian vision. You know? So I thought that was interesting. You know, that I could see just how similar, like the leopard never changes its spots. They use the same tactics. That's how they get the youth vote. Don't you ever wonder how the youth support leftists more than they do conservatives or Republicans. Older people tend to vote Republican. You get conservative as you grow older. If you have a brain, you become more conservative. Why? Because you start paying taxes. You probably own a home. You have kids. You're thinking about school districts and all that kind of stuff. But when you're young, you're just a bleeding heart liberal. I love everybody. Everyone from the world should be able to come here, and we'll make all the rich people pay for them, and we don't need borders. And then the college professors and all your teachers just kind of push that. And then your favorite celebrities, Taylor Swift and, Alyssa Milano, they all support this stuff. So the young people naturally are going to mobilize behind Democrats. And they know that, and that's why they use that. It's so coercive. I don't like it. And of course they get the female and the male vote, or the minority vote. They get the immigrant vote. They categorize them and put them in victim groups. And like, you're a victim, and we're going to take down the evil racist Republicans to get you what you need. But like I tell you guys, like, this is all by design. You look at places like San Francisco and California where they're raising their taxes through the roof, and as they're raising their taxes supposedly to go towards helping the poor, they're creating more poor people. And why are they creating more poor people? This is going to sound like a conspiracy theory, but I'm sure there's some truth to it. They're creating more poor people because that's how they get government dependency. They get a cycle. They can create a cycle of dependence, and they need people to need them. If everyone got off food stamps, if everyone got off welfare, if no one was homeless, if no one was on drugs, there would be no such thing as Democrats. Because Republicans don't need you to need them. They want you to be off of the government. They're like, do it for yourself. I'm not going to give you fish. I'm going to teach you how to fish, and you can fish on your own and feed your whole family and teach them how to fish and create generational wealth. And what the left does is they create generational dependence. And for a lot of people, they don't want that. So in order for them to get you dependent on the government, they have to force you by raising your taxes, creating all these regulations, making it harder for you to open a business and create independent wealth for yourself. So I think it's all by design what they're doing. They try to, of course we just want to make everything better. Anyway, while I'm at a red light, let me not ramble and go through this. Okay, so the race blaming, again, John James got no attention from the media outside of a few times he went on Fox News. I really think if he got more attention, he probably could have won in Michigan. I mean, he didn't lose by that much. And it would have been nice to flip that seat, to get more of a majority in the Senate, just to make that red wall that much stronger. I guess the only other thing I could really mention about the, before I get to my destination here, about the Florida race is, I guess the exit polls showed that both DeSantis and Rick Scott got like 13% of the black vote. So that would explain why, obviously I'm one of those 13%, but that would explain why Gillum didn't get the turnout that he wanted. I saw the dude tweeting like late after, almost like pretty much after the race had been called, even on CNN. I saw Gillum tweeting out and retweeting people who were in the Miami area saying like, if you're still in line, just wait. You wait, you vote, we win. I'm just like, okay, how many of those people are in line do you just assume are going to vote for you? You just assume that because it's Miami-Dade and it's mostly black and brown people that you're just getting those votes. They just assume they're getting the black and brown vote. You'd be surprised. The media will probably never report on this, but I guarantee you there are way more people that voted for DeSantis and Rick Scott than they'll ever tell us, just like with Trump. Way more people, especially when you look at how it played out geographically, across the state. Gillum did win like the major city areas, but sprinkled in those blue counties were some minority voters that voted for Republicans. And like I said, I voted Republican down the ballot. I just circle Republican, everything Republican. And I really think that Project Veritas video went a long way to getting DeSantis elected, because At that point, Gillum had suspended his campaign, so he wasn't really able to refute any of the claims. Even though the media didn't pick it up, it was circulating in the on the alternative media, on social media. You know, I really love, you know what I get excited about, guys, is this grassroots energy and enthusiasm of Trump supporters, people who walked away, Blexit, Lexit, people who just care about the country. We're like, all right, we've given up on mainstream media reporting and covering stuff. We're just going to have our own little network of sharing information, and we're going to spread it around like that. Even if you have to stand there and show someone a video on your cell phone, like, hey, look at this. Did you know this about Andrew Gillum? Because after I made that video, people were telling me that it was circulating around the state. You know, because Project Veritas, they have a decent amount of subscribers, but I'm the one that like blasted it out, like share this with every single person you know. And I think that might have played a part, you know, especially in a race that close, man. It was scary. It was scary, but I'm grateful that Florida, even though it was narrow and scary, I'm grateful that Florida was able to fend off the threat of socialism. I think we're going to be okay. But the work is not done. I'm at my destination, guys, so I'm going to be signing off here in a second. I'm getting an oil change today. But I think we are in great shape going into 2020. Now, obviously, the bad news of the night is the Dems took the House. So they're going to bring Trump's progress, the momentum, to a screeching halt. I don't expect the wall to get built. It's going to be a lot of endless investigations and filibusters and nonsense and just chaos. But you guys got to look at the glass as half full. This helps Trump in 2020. This is going to propel him to an easy win. He was already going to win easy, but this really propels him to an easy victory in 2020 because the Democrats will further expose themselves as obstructionists. We're going to see them overplay their hand. They're probably feeling real confident, like, yeah, now we can impeach 45. Now we can do all, we can reverse the tax hikes and all, or tax breaks and tax cuts, and we can do all this stuff. All they're really going to do is try to block progress. They're going to look more unhinged, more angry. Think about the spokespeople. The people that are at the face of the Democrat Party are Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi and that other guy. I can't remember his name. Those are the faces of the Democrat Party. They're going to be ones talking for the next 2 years, saying all kind of nonsense. Maxine Waters sounded so unhinged with what she said she was going to do with this treasury position that she got. Like, you took money from us, I'm coming for you. I'm going to take your money. I'm like, this is why you need term limits. This is why you should not be able to run on like big government policies. You need to automatically switch to libertarian if you want to stay in office. You can't be in control of people, because that kind of talk is just crazy. But they're gonna prove themselves once again to be bloodthirsty, and it's gonna look bad for them in 2020. So all I see happening in 2020 is a Trump re-election and another red wave of seats. There's going to be more seats given back to Republicans. So they're just going to end up giving back the majority, and then Trump's final term, he can really go out. You know, he can do all kind of stuff in his second term. So it'd be actually the perfect scenario for him versus maybe a red wave now and then 2020 and then the Dems take over for his second term. So that's just kind of how I'm thinking through it. But I could be wrong. You know, I'm still all new to this stuff. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go in and get my oil change on this Jeep. I'm going to do a live stream tonight with other YouTubers from Florida. So we got Controversial Reality, Right Conservative, maybe Tony Patriot. He hasn't gotten back to me yet. And then RNC Sarasota. And then if any of you guys that are watching have a YouTube channel and you want to join in, because we're just going to celebrate our victory. And then we need to strategize for how we're going to get Trump reelected, because Florida is going to be all the more important in 2020. Thank God it's going to be a red state as opposed to a blue state. You know, we swept it. We got Rick Scott and we got Ron DeSantis. So there's not going to be some radical shift of demographics where illegals are coming in, voting. Florida's going to be red for Trump in 2020. It's going to be ripe for the picking. It's still going to be a close race, but DeSantis will be on top of it as far as like fundraising, helping him campaign. Just the whole energy of the state is going to feel good because Florida is still going to be booming. Hopefully DeSantis will have some wins in his pocket by the time Trump starts campaigning, and Florida or Trump will be, in the fast track to get reelected because he's got to win Florida. Also, it doesn't look like the Dems did much in Ohio, which is another big swing state. I think everyone that wins has to win Ohio. So Ohio and Florida are huge. So we got to strategize on how we're going to do that. I'm going to be doing a lot more live streams, which I notice I do better with live streams than I do pre-recorded videos. But I am going to be working on pre-recorded videos. So guys, just be on the lookout for that. I might do some pre-recorded videos with some edits, and it's probably going to not look so sharp right off the bat, but bear with me. I'm working on it. Anyways, guys, I'll catch you later. I'm going to be doing a live stream probably tonight around 8 o'clock. So hopefully you tune in for that. And don't forget to donate if you want, because donations, like I said, go a long way to me going out doing like man on the street stuff, going to talk to people. I'm legitimately going to start going into like the black community, black neighborhoods around here, hopefully to just have some conversations, see how people feel about DeSantis as governor, maybe change their mind a little bit, expose them to some different information. Like, is he really racist? What do you think about him? What do you think about this? What do you think about, Democrats and what they've done? And see if I can't change some minds, flip some more seats, get the Blexit thing going for 2020. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about, guys. That's what I'm focused on. So I'll catch you guys tonight in my live stream around 8 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in. See you. If I can close this out. Of course, my phone is frozen. You're stuck with me a little longer. Oh, got it.